mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on Yealink Pro AV Solutions, where we look at the unboxing, installing, and troubleshooting. Just wanted to quickly check if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you, Sean. Much appreciated as always. Okay, cool. Yeah, then we don't go too long aside. We go ahead with this topic. This is a fairly new topic to the Yealink Teams Rooms MTR solutions, or also ZVC solutions. And yeah, we will look a little bit on certain parts there, which some people might have never seen. Okay. Again, we have the laid in with Teams Room Market, Yealink Solutions, and then we go into the setup, cabling and configuration, the accessories, options and restrictions, troubleshooting, management and security, the Yealink certification, the leader resources, and the appendix. There are certain slides that I took out because we had them already in the previous webinars. They can all be seen on our Yealink, on the Leader Academy on YouTube. Yeah, we focus on the Pro AV gear today, so that is mainly, most of it is only working with the Windows-based solutions, but we will cover that, we will cross that as well. We have in that webinar, in those slides, we have over 60 slides. A lot of them are in the appendix, and we will not look into the appendix. However, you will get all those slides afterwards. After the training, you can go into that. You can look at the links that are in there. Yeah, all these things, like we did that the last couple of times. I know you're still waiting for the slides from last week's training. I just have not been able to provide that all to you guys yet. The video is uploaded, but I think the slides are much more important because they contain all those links. Now, the Teams Rooms market is clear. We have Teams Rooms solutions now running since, yeah, definitely the pandemic started a couple of years ago. That has been evolving into a very interesting and big area, big market where people can use the ability to deploy new systems, get into also a new field with, for example, video conferencing and audio gear. On the other hand, the enterprises, they benefit from much more efficient meetings. People do not always have to fly in again to be in a headquarter or whatever. This can easily be held remotely. So we see here roughly 28% of employees work on a hybrid model, or the companies, they have remote participants, especially here in a country like Australia, which is so vast and huge, where people literally need to join remotely because they are sitting somewhere else in the country. So from that perspective, this is a huge potential for everyone to actually get in there and yeah, sell literally in the end. Yeah. The Microsoft Teams room consists of the hardware side, where we have the operating system, which is either Windows or Android. These systems then are utilizing cameras, can be with an all-in-one bar, or can be dedicated cameras that can be mounted somewhere in the room. Multiple camera solutions like the Yealink gear, where we can have up to 9 cameras. Microphones that can sit on the table, or like what we are looking here today now, can be deployed as Yealink Pro audio gear. We can have speakers, be it wall mounted or ceiling mounted, and then we have displays. On the software level, if we look at the Teams room, we have the Microsoft Teams application, so the so-called MTR app, and that literally dictates the whole surrounding. And also, often if the devices are not behaving properly, it's either an MTR app issue, a bug, or it also can be network issues. They link back to Intune and Microsoft Entra, and they also offer the Microsoft whiteboarding if I would require that. Then we require a license. We can have a Microsoft Teams Rooms license, either basic or pro. Every Teams Rooms device comes with a basic license, so it will work with a basic license. You only have to assign that in a backend to the room. If you want certain features like dual monitors, if you want to use a room panel, if you want to use more than a certain amount of remote participants, so like I think it's more than 25 participants, you have to go with the pro license. So there are limitations on the basic. Generally, most of the rooms will work with a basic license. Customer key pain points. People working remotely are not engaged. This also comes now into the game when we look at the pro audio solutions. Employees don't know how to use our meeting room AV. You have 700 cables and literally have to plug them into somewhere that it works in the end, and then half of it is not working again. We have different room types. Most don't have the right AV. So is it either a static room where you have always the same cable set up, or where everywhere always the same table set up? Or is it a more dynamic room? Is it an open workspace? Do you use the room for board meetings, but also classroom kind of setup? Based on that, you then would require different audio gear, but that can be also covered all more or less with a ceiling audio. For example, when you just cover the whole area, then you don't have any cables lying around, you don't have any microphones that you have to put aside and then add on the table to actually cover the area of the speaker, because it's literally you do a full aerial coverage. And then we also need to ensure all endpoints are secured and managed. That can be all done through Microsoft's backend. These devices are literally all bound to Entra and Intune. So from that perspective, they are controlled by Microsoft, and by that also ensure that they are safe. I can say that a lot of the customer feedback that we get, or generally the customer feedback that we get when we get feedback on those new deployments, is that it completely changed the way they conduct meetings. There is a follow-up that they then do, more or less, when they have different branches also, that they want to have that stuff deployed on other locations as well afterwards. So there is quite a lot of potential in those rooms if they are set up and configured the right way. People will literally realize what they missed out until they had such a system in their room. Now, Yealink Solutions. Yealink has over 2,500 staff, so employees. More than 50% of that staff is working in the technical field. That can be post-sales, that can be pre-sales, that can be research and development. We see here that over 30% goes into the research and development investment. They have over 600 patents on their side, and they have standard international laboratories for audio testing, so how the audio behaves in the room, how they can do noise cancellation, these kind of things. And whoever witnessed a demo with us at Leader, you can actually realize how good the noise cancellation is from those Yealink microphones, for example. Also, they have laboratories for cameras, for the AI capabilities of the camera, be it face recognition, voice recognition, these kind of things. That is all done in their own laboratories. Now, quickly run into the hardware that there is available. There is a lot of new hardware coming into that you don't see at the moment. There's only partially what is there lined out as new. There's a lot more coming on the market in the next couple of months. There's also a big change coming in terms on how you can deploy those systems. That will not be covered at the moment now here, but there will come changes which makes it much easier for you from that kind of perspective, from a cableless or deployment kind of perspective. We have at the very top, we have the Teams rooms on Windows. These are all the Windows-based solutions that actually run with a Windows NUC in the back end. Then we have the Teams rooms on Android. They will just have the operating system, so Android on the host. The new devices that are coming or that are released, so the A40 or the A50, they will have the Android 13 already on the latest version, while the older devices like the A10, the A20 and the A30, they will get an Android 13 update later. Not sure when that exactly will come in. Then we have an interactive display meeting board. The new meeting board has 3 digital cameras built in, with 2 of them have a range of up to 9 to 10 meters pickup. So which is quite good when you see that in a live demonstration. Comparing with the former meeting board, it's completely different level in terms of clarity, crispness already on the digital camera. We have the Windows module, the OPS module, where you can have either the normal Windows module, when you can install all type of meeting applications like Zoom, Teams, WebEx, Chrome, so Google Chrome or what else ever. That's then just the normal Windows compute. Or you can also have Windows-based Teams rooms dedicated on that OPS module. For example, if you have a customer who wants to go down the path of having a dedicated Windows meeting board. Then we have the ceiling audio, where we have literally 2 different levels of quality. I mean, it's also coming down to the room size. I wouldn't put a CM50 into a small room, definitely not. So it's not just terms of quality, it's more or less like for the room size, the room scale. We have the CM20 and the CS10, which are more or less like the standard basic devices. And then we have the CM50 and the CS10D, which are Dante enabled devices, which require a DSP, which we can serve with the AP08. On top of that, we have the room scheduling panel that you can see at the bottom right, and to fulfill or to fill up the whole Teams branch, or the whole Teams ecosystem. We have there the Teams phones, where you can literally use Teams on your desktop as well using a desk phone, and then also we have the additional headsets. Now, looking at the solutions, we have in all those rooms, generally, using Windows or Android, we can use the basic Pro Audio devices like the ceiling microphone, the CS10 and the CM20. Or if we go into larger rooms like the large room, U-shape room, training room, that kind of stuff, we can then there use either the CM50 with the AP08 and the CS10D, or the CM20 with the AP08 and the CS10D. We will cover that area from that kind of perspective. Now, very important for the room audio is also AI. We see here with in 2021, Yealink introduced the so-called AI 2.0, where they added intelligent noise cut. In 2023, they introduced AI 3.0, where we have more intelligent cameras enabled, but also the AI audio has been more and more developed. And if we look at the latest Yealink gear that has been released, like the CM20 or the CM50, and we realize how the surrounding noises are filtered out with the noise cancellation, then yeah, it's a completely different quality that we have there. Now, looking at the new Yealink Pro Audio gear, it is very, very important that if you have never worked, for example, with Pro Audio hardware, or if you haven't worked yet with the Yealink CM20 CS10 in a room deployment, that you have to get familiar with the gear. It's absolutely crucial that you understand what these devices offer and what how they are actually meant to be deployed. There are certain restrictions with, especially with the basic gear like the CM20 and the CS10, on how many you can apply to a system and how you connect them to the system. However, it is more or less the same like with the multi-camera solutions. They are all PoE plus powered, so there's no additional cable that needs to be brought to the microphones or to the speakers. There's no coax cable or what else ever that you need to deploy, RCA cable, that kind of stuff. It's all powered via PoE plus. You route one PoE, so network cable, Cat5e or Cat6, to there where the speaker or the microphone is, and then you have that literally connected via a network cable, and that then links back to either the AV hub, which creates the DSP if you have multi-camera solution, or the UVC camera. That's then in relation to the CM20 and the CS10, which is the basic setup. If we require the Pro gear like the CM50, the CS10D, and the AP08, we have to connect them or bring them back to the AP08. More I come further down the track into that. Now, again, we have the standard, the CM20 and the CS10. We have the premium, which are Dante devices, so Dante enabled. You can use them, of course, with any Dante enabled DSP, be it Yamaha, Sennheiser, Biamp, what is out there. So they will work with those devices. So that's no difference to any other active audio gear that is on the market there. The difference is that they are, from a quality level and from a price level, not in a concert hall area, but that they are actually suiting more into a boardroom. This is why Yealink actually added them, because when we sometimes see the pricing that comes up when you quote a Biamp or a QSC system, that kind of stuff, when we see those prices with the Yealink, you get a much more competitive price that actually also fits more to such a room setup compared to what the other brands are actually bringing in. And the thing is, when we scope those rooms, the customer doesn't want to have a concert hall, price-wise and audio quality-wise not. So he wants something that is very good and does the job and is sufficient for holding those meetings. And that's where Yealink comes in with those audio devices. Also, what is very important for those audio devices, I haven't brought that up before with the AI. If we use, for example, Copilot in terms of using Copilot in a Teams Rooms meeting to have literally the audio recorded for the further to use with the video recording. If we use voice transcription, voice recognition, if we have to identify the user who sits in the room to literally then do the meeting minutes and not always see room one said, and then just in the next line, room one said the complete opposite. So if I want to have people recognized with their voice and their facial profile to literally determine who said what, and then have meeting minutes created out of that, we require audio that is capable on getting the audio properly in, but still doesn't require to have a price that where your customer makes a backflip out of it. So they are all very good priced on a very good pricing level, and from an audio quality, definitely compatible with the high-end gear that we know already that is out there on the market. They come with software tools that we can use to scope the room and also to configure the room, and also accessories that are built around, like what we see there, the YPS20, that is actually the sensor for the visible room, more or less, who automatically opens or separates the room again, depending on if the dividing door is opened or closed. Now, if we look at the standard room audio solution, the CM20, we can see that we can have it as a normal room, where we have a single camera solution, for example, where the audio links back to the camera, where the camera does the DSP, or then we have, for example, a divisible meeting space where the where one of the meeting rooms is the master and the other one is the slave, and they connect to each other via an AV hub. And then we can also have multiple cameras there from that perspective. So they can be used there. Very important to know is when we use a divisible room, the maximum count of the audio gear that we have in one single room is when we use when we use two rooms together, it cannot be bigger than the maximum allowed, which is at the moment 4 microphones and 4 speakers. With a further update, there should come the opening of those solutions to up to 8 speakers in such a deployment, but that's pending a upcoming firmware update. We see here certain scenarios that we can have. We have the medium, large room, divisible room using the CM20 and the CS10. So from that perspective, we can calculate that, all coming down, of course, again, what is the room audio? Yeah, we have literally, if we have a room with a lot of echo, if we have a room with a lot of reverb, with a lot of glass, with a lot of reflective surfaces, we have to go down the path with more microphones. So which means it limits the size of the room we can deploy with that gear. But it also, if we have very good audio solution or situation, we can actually use that as well in a divisible room kind of setup. CM50 is different. CM50, we connect all the gear, be it third-party Dante devices or be it the Yealink Dante devices like the CM50 and the CS10D. We connect them to the DSP, the Yealink AP08, and the DSP we then connect via USB to the M-Core or to the BYOD PC. And then we can still add third-party analog devices like the RCA or balanced line-ins to the DSP, to the AP08, and use them. And they also then have noise cancellation available through the DSP. Now, if we look at a divisible room on a Pro Audio, so with the CM50 AP08 setup, we will see that we use all those devices on the same switch. On the left side here, quickly take my pen. Is that still active? No, it's not active at the moment. Use the pen. Bear with me. Okay. Here we have all on the same switch. This is one room. That's room one. And then we have room 2, so they connect all back to the same switch because they are Dante devices. I configure them then here on the DSP, literally on how to which room they belong and when they become active and not. And then I use the USB cable to go actually to the M core. At the moment, it's not going via the hub, the AV hub. It's at the moment it goes via the M core. The AV hub will be included then later on. And then I can literally have those divisible rooms set up and running. Classical scenarios for CM50 solutions. Medium room. Then we have large rooms. You see we have here like a U-shaped room where the CM50 is in the center of the room. And then here we have a priority zone. For example, if the CEO or the board of directors sits there and they have to be heard at any given time when they say something. So they will always have the focus. We can also have then a different boardroom. You see it's longer here, has more chairs. We would require here 2 microphones, depending also on the audio quality, reflective surfaces, and all that kind of stuff. We have a training room opportunity here where we have a speaker area, and then we have the listener audience area where we have cameras inside, cameras, microphones inside, and speakers. Now here as well, we can do local voice amplification with the CM50 so that literally when that's a huge room, we see here 10 by 15 meters, can also be bigger, that when the person here speaks, that, for example, these speakers here, let me quickly get back to the pen, that, for example, these speakers here are activated for local amplification, so that when this person here is talking, the person doesn't have to yell to actually have the participants here hearing. So it's actually that when the person here talks, that these ones will hear the person from normal voice, but these people here further in the back, they actually hear via the audio setup. Now we also then have here divisible room setup. That can be bigger rooms, of course, can also be smaller rooms. We will have there one-stop full scenario. We have not a multi-brand complexity, but we have all using Yealink gear, which gives us the benefit of that when there is an issue, we have to only go to one vendor. When we have firmware updates, it's most likely going to continue to work, not that we have different manufacturers that have different firmware releases that all of a sudden stop working with each other. Premium audio quality with plug and play for easy integration. We can use also professional setups, more complicated setups than there. So I quickly have here a video that's actually from the Yealink certification training. That is just literally on how to deploy the AP08. It actually, let me know if the audio is not working. It actually should work, but you never know. Can be that the audio is not going to be transported. I actually enabled it.
What's in the box? In a 19-inch rack, remove the mounting ear screws from each side of AP08. Install the mounting ears on both sides of the AP08. Install in the rack. Push the AP08 into the rack. Fix it to the rack with screws. Under a table or on a wall, remove the mounting ear screws from each side of AP08. Install the mounting ears on both sides of the AP08. Use the mounting ears to mark holes on the mounting surface. Drill holes and insert the expansion nuts. Fix the AP08 on the mounting surface with the expansion screws.
So that's just literally how you can mount it. I have mine mounted in the suspended ceiling, so that's also a way to mount it. Now that is the CM50 that goes a little bit longer because it's actually requiring a little bit more work.
What's in the box? Note before installation. Suitable for ceiling grid. Suitable for open ceiling. Deployment height recommendations. Ceiling load-bearing recommendations. For installations in a ceiling grid and suspended from the ceiling. Ceiling load capacity greater than 6.5 kilograms. For installation on the ceiling load capacity greater than 7 kilograms. Equipment installation orientation and spacing recommendations. Deployment personnel recommendations. In ceiling deployment. Demonstrate using a 60 by 60 cm ceiling grid. Please have the ceiling tile professionally removed in accordance with the actual conditions. Dismantle ceiling tile. Attach the silicone pads to the four corners of the device respectively. Ensure that all four silicone pads are properly installed. On the corresponding upper wall surface of the ceiling panel removal area, drill hole for the safety rope at the corresponding ceiling position. Push the expansion anchors into the holes. Use expansion screws to fix the wire lock. Thread the suspension rope through the wire lock and tighten the wire lock to the appropriate length. Please note the deployment direction. The position of the Yealink logo indicates the direction when setting the CM50 pickup area in the Yealink Room Designer. Choose the corresponding hole to install the safety rope bolt. Attach the safety rope hook to the equipment bolt. Connect the network cable. Install the equipment into the ceiling. For 2 by 2 foot ceiling grid, you need to add extension bars to fit. On ceiling deployment, Yealink recommend installing the on-ceiling mount with a uniform and easily measurable orientation angle to facilitate the subsequent configuration of the CM50. Mark the holes with the hanging bracket. Drill holes at the marked points. Install the expansion bolts. Use expansion screws to fix the bracket A on the ceiling. Install the bracket to the back panel of the CM50 with screws. Connect the Ethernet cable. Align the bracket B with the bracket A and slide the CM50 forward into place. Tighten the M4 hexagon socket screw using the included hex key. Suspend from the ceiling. Use the deployment instruction template to drill holes. Insert the expansion nuts. Use expansion screws to fix the wire locks. Thread the suspension rope through the wire lock and tighten the wire lock. Make sure that the wire locks are securely installed on the ceiling by gentle dragging the suspension rope. Adjust the length of the suspension rope. Tighten the copper pillar onto the CM50. Hook the suspension rope to the copper pillar. Connect the Ethernet cable. Factory reset. Remove the mesh cover. Long press the reset button for 5 seconds until the red light flashes slowly to initiate the reset mode. For specific configuration details, please refer to the configuration document in the QR code.
So now we have seen the AP08, we have seen the installation of the CM50, the CS10s, these, so they will be in ceiling mounted. They don't have a suspension cable or an on-ceiling mount. They just go straight into the ceiling. All these devices are generally connected with a single PoE plus cable. We have that then afterwards looking at the next couple of slides with the restrictions. Now, looking at the tools, when you scope a room, I just did now here the result that came out of a scoping. You enter on that room device calculator from Yealink, you enter the audio quality of the room, you enter the room size, you enter the use case, be it a regular room, a U-shaped room, a classroom, the ceiling height, very, very important. Generally, the ceiling height, I would go from where the microphone is, so the lower end of the microphone, because if you have the microphone hanging down, it's more or less starting there. However, there is audio going above the microphone. That's stuff we always have to include, yeah. But the ceiling height is more or less to calculate from where the pickup comes from the speaker towards the microphone. Now, then we, in that case now here, which is a classroom, we have a stage area that we define, we have the audience area, and then we can configure there still, you don't see that further down, we can define the coverage area that we want, if we want to have it economically, if we only want to have the stage area covered, all that kind of stuff can be covered. Then we can also cover the speakers, and we also cover the cameras there. That's all inside that room device calculator. You will get the link then there when you get the slides. There is also a PHE NHE calculator, so that then literally calculates the audio from the people who are actually speaking and the distance to the microphone from that perspective, that can all be calculated as well. Now, to configure those rooms, you have a software, and actually have to change the link that you see down there, because that actually should be the link to the room designer. Now, this is a divisible room that I'm planning or scoping at the moment. We see there we have two exact same setups. That's two rooms that they are 2 times 80 square meter. They have to work as individual rooms, but also work in conjunction, and that's complete BYOD setup. So there is no Teams room involved. The customer will have 2 NUCs that he uses there, but it's still possible. Yeah, so you can use that in those kind of setups as well, but you have to know how to do that, and that's something where you literally have to go and work. But you see here also the schematics. You build that yourself, and then literally based on how that setup is configured, you then will also have to deploy it. Now, you see also in the right side picture, you see all those distances, like 2.5 meters from the wall, 2 meters from the upper end wall, that kind of stuff. That has to fit, because based on that, the system is then also capable on measuring in itself, but the measurements have to fit. Yeah, so that is something that must be then more or less measured with a ruler or with a meter or what else ever. Yeah, but that is all can be configured. You do through that software. You also do then firmware updates. You get the log files. We look at getting the log files then afterwards. But that all must be more or less correct, measured in. That you also then, for example, can do the priority pickup zone, that you can, for example, say you create an audio fence where you literally then say, okay, everything outside that fence is not picked up as kind of disturbance, that kind of stuff. So that all has to be more or less properly done. Troubleshooting basics, coming back again to that kind of screen. Not really that relevant for the Pro Audio or the audio gear, because we are there more or less in a separate network at the moment. Still, there are often issues that we see in the Teams setups that are not Yealink hardware related. And actually, I can tell you it's not much that is Yealink gear related of the issues. It's often network, like they have proxies in place, they have a highly locked down network. That's when then the Teams app starts to get issues, when it can't connect back to SharePoint, OneDrive, or to the Teams admin center. So that is very often the case. And then, of course, very often the case is also that there is something on Microsoft's backend. Now, if you face an issue like the camera not working, microphone is not working, the touch device is unresponsive, a touch device is not paired, device not booting, these kind of things we looked at in the first and in the Android and in the Windows-based solutions. It's again, there's certain steps to follow. The most important is the more detailed information we have, again in dot points, we come to that afterwards, in dot points, and literally step by step what you or the customer is doing, combined with a video of the issue will be solved much, much faster than if we have to go back and forth and all that stuff. Of course, log file collection is a part of it. Next video, we look at how to debug the system. This is with the Pro Audio very important, because you have to see where, for example, when the microphone is not working, so when there is no audio going to the remote participants, where does the system start to lose the audio, where it's not picking up anymore? We look at that now.
Welcome to the part 4. The part 4 will talk about the system debug and also the practice that we suggest you to do. In this lesson, you need to master the troubleshooting of the common technical support issues by using the Yealink Zoom Designer. And also, you need to learn how to debug the APOA DSP audio chain using the Yealink Zoom Designer. And the third one is to learn how to use the Yealink SkySend device with the third-party devices. Let's come to the lesson 1. It's about the system debug. System debug has two parts. The first part is about the hardware. For the hardware debugging, you need to firstly check the device power supply, including the microphone, DSP, and also the speaker. The second thing is to verify the physical connections. Most of the time, the problem might be caused by the cable. You need to use the cable more than Cat5e. And also, you need to check the connection between the cable and the devices. Don't forget about the switch. You need to check the switch whether it is satisfy all the requirements that Yealink asked. For example, does it a PoE plus switch that can satisfy the power supply requirement? And to check whether the switch has shut down the energy saving function like IEEE 802.3 AZ protocol. Finally, you need to verify the firmware version. Whether it is the latest one, please log in the Yealink support to get the latest version of the firmware. Then you need to have a software debug. The software debug, most of the process will be on the Yealink Zoom Designer. I will later have a simple demo for you. The first thing you need to validate whether the mic and speaker has an input or output signal. The second thing is to verify the audio links between the device. Because if you are in the run mode, you will be able to know whether the link, the audio flow, is working. The color of the linkage is white or not. By the way, you can check in the Deploy Manager whether your configuration is successfully uploaded. Don't forget to check the APOA DSP. It is about its device matrix settings. In the matrix mixture, you will be able to range an input channel to an output channel. You need to check whether the relationship is good or not. Finally, please validate all the signals that is on the input and output node of the DSP. Okay, let's have a simple demo.
Demo of software signal checking.
Now we are in the Yealink Zoom Designer to check whether your device is running well or not. Firstly, you need to come to the run mode to check whether all the configurations has been uploaded successfully or not. As you can see in the Deploy Manager, it will show you about the status that the configuration is uploading. You can also open it here. The color of the audio flow could also be used to judge whether the audio flow is built successfully or not. The white color means successfully built. The gray color means failed. You can also check the logo about whether your virtual component has been successfully connected with a real-life device. Double-click a device to enter the detailed configuration page. You can say, in each channel, during my talking, the audio signal level would always change. That means that it works well. You can also check it in the output channel. Then, come to check the metric mixture of the AP08. As you can see, for the damped input 1, it has a signal level, and it's corresponding to the USB output 1, which is consisted here from the mix-up. And if you have the right route, it will have a match jump of the level. Let's get back to the linkage view. As you can see here, for the node that should have the signal, you can just double-click and enter its detailed setting. and see whether the level is jumping. Also the things with the DNT output. If it does not jump, it means that this channel does not have the signal. It is a simple demo about how to make the judgment about whether your audio flow is work well.
Okay, so that's literally just to show more or less that you can do in a live environment testing on if the linkage is done properly. If you have, for example, the audio of a microphone is not coming into the meeting to the remote participants, it doesn't mean that the microphone is faulty, because if there is an error in the linking, if you linked something wrongly in the backend, then it actually might be that this is the issue. Now, if you then in the end face a hardware issue, again, the following steps: reboot the system, the device, cross-check with another device that you know is working. Cables, check if the cables are faulty, HDMI cables, USB cables even, network cables. Is the switch where the devices are connected, has it a faulty port? Is it having the EEE, so the energy efficient Ethernet enabled? Yealink is asking, because all these devices are using PoE+, is asking for switches only that have no EEE enabled or where it can be turned off. Check if there is a firmware update available. Reset the device. The reimage of the M-core we don't have to do here, because literally it's not a M-core, it's more or less the audio settings. But yeah, do a factory default of the DSP of the microphone, and then literally go ahead from there. Now, we often have issues regarding people testing with the wrong inputs, where they say, for example, oh yeah, the line in works, but then the RJ45 port is faulty. The RJ45 port must be faulty because it's not working on the RJ45 port, not realizing that it actually could be the switch that is having a faulty port, that kind of stuff. So you have to check with the medium that you can define as faulty. Yeah, so very important for the troubleshooting. The info to deliver is always take a video or a screen recording of the issue. This helps, especially Yealink, to overcome certain language barriers and also see the exact issue, what it is, and understand the issue much faster. Send an email to uc-support@leadersystem.com.au containing the description of the issue, how the issue can be replicated, the troubleshooting steps performed, explain the results of a cross-test, attach log files of the replication of the issue, attach video of the issue, and line out the timestamp when the issue has been replicated. There's no vendor going, and of course here we have to have day, month, hour, minute, and there's no vendor going to look into thousands of lines of log files if no timestamp is provided. They come back and say, provide a timestamp. Replicate it, provide a timestamp. Again, here, don't test the hardware with different mediums. We had that already in the MVC. You will see it in a, one moment. Yeah, so literally, yeah, one moment, just. Okay, going ahead. Again, also don't let the end user do the testing. The result will be that we get insufficient data. Yeah, that's literally how it is. The end user is not a professional, is not a specialist, doesn't understand the stuff. So do it. Go on site, do the testing there. Yeah. Also, don't raise cases with the Yealink system you sold us doesn't work properly. That leads to back and forth because it just delays it. We have to first get all the information in regards of what hardware is used, what kind of setup, is it actually even purchased through us? Because when it's purchased through someone else, the device is in a different channel. So we can't even RMA it, for example. So from that perspective, yeah, needs to be really accurate information that we receive to be able to troubleshoot in that regard or to resolve the issue as fast as possible. The better, the faster. Again, you will see that then here in the slides when you get them. Now, how to get the logs. For CM20s, CS10s, which are directly connected to the Android or to the Windows-based solution, the audio log collection for the MVC setup, so the Windows-based, and for the Android-based setup is required there. So you go either on the Android through the web GUI or on the Windows audio collection, you go onto the Windows computer and then go into the Yealink Room Connect and collect the log files there. Please note that the logs are generally deleted when you perform a reboot. So if you have an issue and you have to collect logs, replicate the issue, then collect the logs. Do not reboot the system in between the replication of the issue and the log file collection. Yeah, that is just deleting more or less all the, or not more or less, it's deleting all the log files. Now, when we do a log file collection on a Yealink Pro Audio Gear, the AP08 and the CM50, we have to go into the Yealink Room Designer. We then go into the device manager. We go in the corresponding device, which in this case here is the AP08, backup and restore, and we say there, export the logs. We then go whatever into the download folder or so. We download, we create a new folder, say, for example, AP08 logs or whatever. We choose select folder. Once that export is done, it's taking a moment. We have to go into the CM50 as well. Again, system, backup and restore, export the logs. We literally do the same again. We create a new folder. Of course, have to go back into the main directory where we want to go. And then we export the logs. Now, once these logs are exported, we then also export the log of the room designer. We just go to the top right, to the cogwheel there, say export log, and then again create a new folder. Choose that folder and export the logs. This is then much faster. These logs with the issue description and the other video recordings, screen recordings, whatever, send that again to us, and then we will analyze that together with Yealink. Now, these devices, of course, can be managed remotely through the YMCS, through the Yealink Management Cloud Service, since they come more or less through the Windows-based device. However, these dedicated logs from the room designer, I cannot collect from there. Yeah, so that is not possible. It might be that it's possible further down the track, but at the moment, not. You literally have to go into the system to actually get the logs from there. Yealink security overview regarding the YMCS. Yealink is literally certified with most trusted certifications, SOC 2 Type 2, ISO, GDPR, PSTI, uses secure or trusted hardware manufacturers, that kind of stuff. Yealink certification. If you want to install and use the Yealink Pro IV, so the Pro Audio, like the CM50 AP08, you definitely will have to certify yourself. Actually forgot there the designer certification. First of all, it gives you a price benefit. And second of all, it gives you also the benefit of actually knowing how to deploy and install the gear. It's always useful. We offer you demo centers, the availability of demo for your end users. We can help you with the scoping. We can provide you proof of concept, even of the Pro Audio gear, for example. Also, if you want to test it, we can help you pre-staging, for example, firmware and software updates before the devices leave our warehouse. It reduces the deploy times on site and the cost, and we can by that also evaluate or see already if there are DOAs involved or not. It's very rare, but it can always happen. So from that perspective, we offer you multiple services around that. Now that's literally it. Further down the path here, we have the appendix compared with last session where we had the Windows-based solution. I actually only added these points to it. It's just in regards of that there is a main chapter and everything else, even the certain links on the below, they're all in the same chapter. So because it's such an important chapter to go through it all. Now I have a couple of questions here. Sean asked, will the slides be available after this? As this method of webinar does not allow click. Yes, you will get the slides afterwards sent. It might take a couple of days until I handed them over to Roberta. So what user control devices are? Let me quickly see. Can I open that fully? Yeah. What user control devices are available for the Pro Room systems to allow users to change scenes, etc. So currently, this is the setup that you can change the cameras on the Yealink Room Connect software, where you can allow, when you have multiple cameras in use, not only with not with one single camera, but with multiple cameras, you can have up to 9 presets where you can configure the camera, setting the camera mode. Yeah. And yeah, since I share the Teams Rooms audio, or the webinar audio, or the computer audio into the webinar that you can hear, yeah, you get all the notifications from my Teams that is running in the back end. Unfortunately, I let it on to actually see if something important comes in. The user control generally on the MVC systems is the M-Touch, the M-Touch 2, or not the M-Touch E2 or the M-Touch Plus, which when you look at the Android-based ones, which is the CTP25, or in former versions the CTP18. Now, but again, that all is prone to change in the next couple of months. More details I can't really hand out yet, but there are changes coming to more or less a lot of these kind of things. But you literally do the whole meeting management through the M-Touch. That is more or less the touch panel console for the Windows-based systems. What I don't know yet, I can't tell you that, I don't know yet if when you do the camera grouping, when you change the grouping there, if it will be available. At the moment, it is not available yet, to actually change the audio configuration in the backend so that this can be linked. I can assume that this is something that will come. Again, there's a lot in the pipes what Yealink is going to release over the next couple of weeks. It's not only the A50, so the new medium to large room Android-based all-in-one meeting bar that is being released. There's a lot of other stuff coming out. Yeah, that's something what you can, for example, mute the microphone on the Yealink app. Let me quickly see if I can quickly jump into our boardroom device. I will drag that over afterwards into the screen, and when I'm connected, I can show you that. You can mute the microphones, but there is also further in the future, Yealink is working on that to actually have automatically microphones muted. For example, also when you have local amplification enabled, and you then literally have see here my thing. I have already the next meeting at 2:15, and then the next meeting at 2:30. Yeah, so I'm quite busy. So literally, what you can do is mic control. It's just the other screens are booting up at the moment. They always take so long. This is why we don't see anything now here. Okay, let's go here. Mic control. You see, you can mute individually the microphones. If I would have multiple microphones, you can do that. But what you also can do is in the future, that when you have, for example, a meeting, when you have multiple CM50 devices, Yealink is working on a matrix that you can define a matrix. Everything around certain CM50 is having local amplification, and the microphone where the voice is being picked up, that's mainly, for example, the presenter, that this in that matrix, the output gain of the speakers is reduced when the microphone is in pickup mode, and all the other microphones are muted then. And then, for example, when he says, okay, we have now question answer, who has a question? And then someone asks a question, the microphone in the area where that person is having a question is becoming automatically active because the microphone realizes that there is someone talking, and the speaker gain is reduced there. So the volume of the speakers is reduced there to not cause any reverb or echo with the microphone, and the presenter microphone, for example, is automatically muted, and all the other microphones are also muted there. And then literally the local amplification, the speaker, for example, the speakers in the presenter area are literally activated. Depends on if they are a part of that local amplification section kind of thing. Yeah. So, but that's literally, that's coming. Again, I don't know exactly to what extent certain features will also be able to. I could have just used that again. Let me quickly show you that again. Jumping in, and then afterwards I have to jump out then. Just to let you quickly have a look at what we have there. We have camera layouts here. Here, camera layouts. You can configure up to 9 presets where you literally during the meeting can change the cameras and their behavior based on what you require. This can be that you have that based on the different meeting that you are conducting, or that during the meeting you have to change the configuration and something. So what I do not know yet is if the linkage can be created there, that you have more or less the microphones and the speakers, so the audio actually work in conjunction with the setting of the situation that you have then in that very moment. Again, that is something that is not clear yet to me. Being Yealink, I could imagine that they work on that. Any more questions? Else, you always can come with questions when it's related to deployment, and so you can come to us. Again, it's more or less our goal to help you to deploy the hardware properly. But again, sign up for the Yealink Academy, do those trainings. There's a huge amount. I did the certifications in January. I did the certifications in January, and I went in on Sunday. I went into I think it's the both of them, both of the Pro Audio trainings, and there was a huge amount of new videos that I had to go through to download them, because they were all not part of the training or certification that I did back in January, because that was completely new back then. So sign up with the Yealink Academy. You generally would have to go there to sso.yealink.com, create an account, and then with that account you can log into the Yealink Academy. I will send out those slides as well as the ones from last week. We will have that webinar up in the Yealink in the YouTube Leader Academy. Yeah, that's more or less it. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. Thank you for attending. Again, let me know if you have any further questions. Yeah, have a nice afternoon. Thank you very much.